Hi everyone, Comic Book Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. Now, as you know, Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior is meant to be a 1981 Australian post-apocalyptic action film that was the second entry in the Mad Max film series, as well as having Mel Gibson reprise his role as Mad Max. Now, I know this film is considered one of the greatest action movies of all time, but I think after watching it and kind of going through it, I would say it's a film that's more filler based and really just kind of has a standard mediocre story. And yeah, I know the film is considered one of the greatest sequels ever made, and there were fan clubs for the film, Road Warrior themed activities that continued into the 21st century. And this is also where I think Fury Road copied itself from the second film quite badly. So the premise of the film is meant to follow after a global war that sort of resulted in a widespread oil shortage. We kind of see the how the collapse of civilization has now descended, and we now see the former policeman Max, now a shell of his former self, and still riding his supercharged car. We kind of see how, after confronting the gyro captain, he later learns that there's an area that still has a large amount of oil resources, and this is kind of like where we kind of see how he helps the residents there deal with Lord Humongous, a dangerous and violent psychopath, as well as his followers, in sort of stopping them as well as trying to get them to safety. And this is also where I kind of think Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, is basically the original version of Fury Road, only with some weaker and more sort of, I would say, wasted potential characters. Because I think when you've got the warrior woman, I think her character is like the 80 version of of Shari Farron's character from the fourth film. The only problem with her character, she just kind of comes across like this expendable badass woman, and I think Lord Humongous is a wasted potential character of Immortal Joe. And I kind of think, had George Miller stuck with what the original idea would have been for Lord Humongous, having Goose from the first film be Lord Humongous would have worked, because this would have left Max shocked, horrified, and even appalled, seeing that the friend he once knew had now become a monster of his own making. And I think Fist of the North Star did it better with Jackie, because the point of Jackie was meant to be a warning to what Kenjiro would have become if he used Hokuto Shinken for the wrong reasons. And I think it's like what the 2012 Ninja Turtles cartoon did right, having Raph shocked at what Leonardo had became. And I kind of think Lord Humongous is an okay character, but it's just slightly weaker. And yeah, when you kind of got the mohawked villain Wes, I kind of think his character is basically Nathan Jones's character, who's meant to kind of be Immortal Joe's son, played by Nathan Jones. The only difference is his character is just basically a Fist of the North Star like character. I think what the first Mad Max film got right at is showing how civilization was still on its last legs, and you just kind of had Max wanting to avoid becoming anything like the other bikers and Toka and his gang. I think while Max's character works in the second film, he just feels like that kind of stocks character who's just there. And I think the problem is, I would say, when Fury Road did copy itself from the second film, this is where I kind of think Mad Max was running out of ideas at this point. And this is where I do think a lot of media copy themselves badly. Like, yeah, when you had Digimon Adventure Troy, it copied itself back from the Season 1 status quo, as well as using Data Squad. I also feel like, yeah, Episode 7 is just a rehash of Episode 4, nothing original. And yeah, when you also kind of got Avatar, the 2009 film, it's just basically Princess Mononoke. I think there's a lot of films that have good ideas, but it just kind of seems like when they usually do a sequel or another conclusion, it copies itself from the films that it did before, either poorly, and once we either take the rose-coloured glasses off, we kind of see that it wasn't as good as what it should have been. I think, to me, Mad Max 2 The Road Warrior is an okay film, but it's just wasted potential with most of its characters, as well as kind of being one of those films that's just film filler. And yeah, I also know South Park did copy and reference the film so much, and I get it, Trey Parker and Matt Stone were 80s kids at this point. So I think the film definitely deserves 2 thumbs in the middles. Well, it's an okay conclusion. I think it's one of those films that just gets way too overhyped. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.